Welcome to the Andy Noise Experience podcast, Endurance Noise, Random Musings. It's September 14th. I think I got the right day. It's a Monday. And I have Ed here after yet another podium in a 100-mile, 24-hour race.
Yes,
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, that was in Colorado. So I'm back home in Murrieta. Went from what we have 70-degree temps. Actually, it's not that hot right now here. I think it's probably in the 90s. But I guess last weekend when I was gone, my wife said it got up to 115 here. So it's
bad. It was brutal. It was pretty dang hot. And then a week later, we were in the high 80s, 90s in Bakersfield. So the weather's definitely finally changing. I've been actually wearing a long sleeve shirt going out walking in the mornings. So that's nice.
Yeah, I went out this morning. It was actually kind of crisp for sure.
Yeah. So how are you feeling after you said that this race was pretty hard, obviously, because you just finished the 72 like 5 days before you started the thing or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I finished the 72-hour in Oklahoma Monday morning, and then this one started Friday afternoon. So there was only a short time between, and
4 days.
Yeah. And I'd only done one short little walk. Hadn't really done anything other than that, but my body needed the recovery. But kind of a funny thing or odd thing happened. So when I do a multi-day, for whatever reason, I'm sure it's something my body does, an adaptive measure for my own protection, but I start retaining fluids. And usually after multi-day, about 3 or 4 days after I get back home, suddenly I'll do like a fluid dump and I'll be constantly peeing. It's just clear pee. It's like water coming out of me, but it might be 8 or 10 pounds worth of fluid. Well, when you know it, my 3-day race ended Monday and Friday is the race. So every mile I was going in, using the bathroom, do another mile loop, go and use the bathroom. It's like, this cannot be going on all race long. I've got to try and get 100 miles here in 24 hours. Then we're at 5,000 foot elevation. So eventually I got that out of my system and was able to move on. But I was getting quite nervous at the beginning because I was so far behind everybody and wasn't, able to do much of a catch up until, I got that fluid dump out of my system.
It's very interesting, Ed, when you're talking about that fluid dump. That's basically what happened when I ended up in the hospital and was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Is what happens with congestive heart failure, which usually you hear like an 80-year-old senator dies from it. It's usually, rich old people die from it because something else kills you usually. But what it is the heart gets bigger trying to pump the blood. The heart gets thicker trying to pump the blood, and it increases the fluid to try and do it. And so what's happened to you is the same symptoms that go with the congestive heart failure, in that your blood volume increases or the body holds on to the water in a desperate attempt to continue, to keep you alive or you to keep moving. And then like when I went into the hospital, they gave me Lasix, which is a diuretic that they actually use on racehorses. I pissed away 21 pounds in 24 hours, which is a case of water. Later on, I bought a case of water, the liter, whatever those bottles are, the 20-ounce bottles. And it said, I looked at it, I went, this is how much water I had on my chest. No wonder I couldn't breathe. And so when you said that, I was like, the two things mesh so well. You're talking about in a multi-day race, you retain fluid. Well, it's because the heart's working so hard and the body's just trying to do anything it can to keep you alive and or moving in your case. Yeah. And in me, the body, congestive heart failure is the same kind of thing. I'm still taking the Lasix, and I'm sure I've told you and I've told people that I take it now. I don't take it before I DoorDash because I have to stop and pee like all the time. I'm peeing in it. And the problem with COVID is all the damn restaurants are closed. I mean, the restrooms are closed.
I know,
they won't let you pee in any restrooms when you usually did anyways. But if I'm going in there getting food, you're thinking, well, at least I can go use the bathroom. So I'm peeing like, not to get graphic, but I pee like a racehorse. So I take the medicine, and for about 2 or 3 hours during the day, it's like the medicine makes me sleepy, and I have to nap. So I take like a 10-minute nap and I have to get up and pee. And I do this for about 2 or 3 hours every day. And my youngest son, of course, who's very witty, goes, "Welcome to health." My blood pressure's good. I'd really like to quit taking the Lasix because it definitely just, but yeah, I'm running a ultra. And I'm sure I told you this story, but I'll tell the listeners. I remember Michael Miller. our buddy from Arizona that does
Yeah.
tons and tons of hundreds. When he first got his Garmin ages ago, he was doing the nanny goat race, and he's wearing his Garmin. And then later on, when he looked at his Garmin results, the nanny goat, you could see the nanny goat loop, and then it had all these little spikes coming out of it, kind of like coronavirus. Yeah, where he was going to pee in the bushes.
Oh, okay.
And what it was some of the spikes were really long and some were short. Well, the long ones were during the daytime because he had to go further off, where the shorter ones were like at night when nobody's around. You could just, and it's.
And I bet I know exactly the place. There's that orange grove where you make that.
Yes.
That down in that back out and back. That orange grove is a perfect place. Yeah.
Yeah, and so his loop, there'd be all these little spikes all around there, and he's a little bit older and had to stop and pee. So I was watching the results because I love Michael Melton, and I did notice you were kind of way in the back there, and I thought, oh well, he's just kind of pacing himself, and then you got close to catching the guy. I mean, he had a couple of bad moments that looked like there, and you were pretty rock solid most of it. Well, I guess you had to be to get that 124, but I was watching you were doing those 15, 16-minute laps towards the end there. So, but you didn't quite catch him then, huh?
No, so he had gone out really strong. So this is Jordan. I think he said this is his 600. And I find it amusing because I found out afterwards he's 38. Well, today is my son's 30th birthday.
Yeah.
That's my second kid that's hit 30. So basically, I'm old enough to be his dad.
Oh,
because he's 38, I'm 58. But but anyway, he was moving really well at the beginning, and then he started to slow down. And then at one point he said, the wheels are starting to fall off, because this was his first time doing a fixed time event. He's from Colorado, so he's one of those, mountain goats. And, that's funny because they don't really realize it until they do one of these events, that they really, in their own way, they're their own animal, and they have their own unique difficulties. And I think he found that out. But so I found at one point, hours away from the finish, that, okay, I wanted to go one loop more than the 100. And actually the 95 loops would give you 99.75 miles. So you actually had to go 100.8 to get 100.
Just like across the years. Across the years is the same thing.
Exactly. So I wanted to go even one more. And so we're moving around, and eventually he's slowing down, and I could tell was pretty sure he wanted to get to 100 and be happy with that. So he's got a crew there with him that go out with him, every other loop, which is cool. And on his final loop, because I was going faster pace, I caught up with him, and he said, "Oh, so a friend wants to know," which, obviously it's him, but he said, "A friend wants to know, are you going to stop at 100?" And I was just honest with him. I said, "No, I plan to do one more loop." And sure enough, that was enough motivation for him to get out and do one more loop. And it's like, oh man. So if I'd have kept my mouth shut, could have. But anyway, it's all good. So.
Oh yeah, no, I gathered all that by just looking at the numbers. I knew exactly you were hunting him down. He was just holding on. He wanted to get that 100, and then it was going to become like, when you looked at the times, you could tell that like you had enough time. You could have gotten in another lap. You could have gotten another lap in, and then he might not do a lap if he stopped at 100. Yeah, so it's I've been there a couple times.
Well, that was my thinking, and but sure enough, I showed my hand, and I can't blame him. That's all part of the race. So I would do the same. I would do the same thing. And if someone's dumb enough to tell me that they plan on going an extra mile, then I'm going to go an extra mile to try and beat them. So that's just the way it is. But it was all good. Now, I did see that the results show that he actually has one more mile than me. But I know what happened, and we've both seen this happen. Yeah. His aid station, or his personal station, was set up past the time mats. So he finished his 101.85 and was hanging out with his people, and then probably either went to go back to the restroom, which was, or came back out to greet me as I was coming for my last one, and crossed over the timing mat with his timing chip still on. So that recorded an extra mile. So we actually both have the 101.85. but he did do it before I did it, so that does
Yeah.
give him the legitimate win. And yeah, it's the way it is. It's all good. Ultra Setup will still get 100%, but it's a second place. But I'll take it. That was so that was my 40th second place. And so with that and my 5200s, that makes 92 first or second. And that was my 115th podium. And of course, 189th 100-mile race. So, the numbers are coming together, but like we talked about, I'm really going to try and focus on as much as I can getting the wins while I can. And but you know what? I'll take a second over a third, and I'll take a third over a fourth, and I'll take a finish over a DNF. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be happy with what I get, even though you know how we do the second guessing and look back and go, oh, if I just done this, if I just done that. But you know, it could have gone a very much different direction. At the 5,000 foot elevation, I could feel the thinness a little bit of the air, and being tired from the 3-day. It could have got to where I ended up with 99 or 98 miles, and then I'd have been kicking myself for not having 100. So you know what? I'm glad I got the 100, plus I got even an extra loop beyond that. So I can't complain. I'll take it.
Also, you got to realize you also did all the traveling back from Oklahoma and then out to Denver.
That's true.
That's the one thing I really found, that traveling is very tiresome. It gets on you really quick. And so, and speaking of traveling, I wanted to say something about how he got to the finish before you did, so therefore he gets the win. Especially when they don't do partial laps. Of course, at BB Farm, they counted complete laps, and so I remember crossing the 1 mile loop. It was about a mile loop, and there's like 3 or 4 minutes left, and I got to 121st, and boy, I sure would have loved it, because I ended up having to run another 4 or 5 minutes and end up getting third overall by 60 yards.
Wow.
The guy chasing me down in a 48-hour race. And then also another circumstance, when I won at Blue in 2016, I had Susan chasing me, and my big fear was with a 2 mile loop, and only counting that, even though I'd been in front of her for all night and all morning, I got my friend Allison out there to help me the last few hours. She had crewing pace. I was scared that the last lap, either one, I wouldn't get it done, and she would, or I wouldn't get it done, and then we tie at 136, which would suck, because I can't, or she would somehow just pull it off. Pass me in the last lap and get me. So that was, I remember, my fear was more, I'm not going to be able to finish the second lap, and so then I'm going to get so it's just funny that all that kind of, I'm sure a lot of people don't think about that, but that's one thing that kind of annoys me about timed races, is people don't think of them as races, and I'm like, it's in the title. It's a 24-hour race. That, like a 100-mile race is 100 miles.
100 miles.
Oh. Well, what's a 24-hour race is
24 hours.
A race for 24 hours. And it just drives me up the wall when people try and poo-poo it. And part of it is because wrapping your head around a 24-hour race and going, you mean I got to go the whole time, or 48? They get to, artificial marks. Here in America, we look at 50, 100 miles. Whereas in, like, say, Europe, it's 50K or 100K. And then after 100K, it's like, who knows, then they're doing 200K or something. But yeah, it's an interesting type of thing. So speaking of traveling, you'll be doing some traveling this weekend, I guess, by car, if you're going to be heading up to the in my background, Thunder Ultras Ride
I
Walk.
see it. Yeah. I'm planning to do Craig's race. In fact, you and I were just on a chat with Craig this morning about the air quality and with the fires and whatnot. So I promised my wife that if the air quality is too bad, I won't do it. So she's going to leave that to my discretion. So hopefully fires won't, get to the point where it compromises the air too much. I'm sure there'll be a little bit, but I can handle that. I live in Southern California, so even though our air quality now is way better than it was years and years ago, but still, we live with that kind of stuff. So I suppose if it's a little bit from a different source, if the
I moved to California. I moved to California in the late 70s, and I remember you'd be in Hollywood and you couldn't see the Hollywood sign.
No.
And then, like, because of unleaded gas and things like that, I remember, like, one of the first times, maybe 7, 8 years ago, driving through the valley, and I was at the top northern end of the valley, and you could see clear across the valley. I was like, holy cow, I've never seen this. And then, of course, like Bakersfield, you can look at my photos throughout the years out at Hart Park Hills, and 15 years ago, you didn't see the mountains. In fact, it was funny. I had my record store, And back in the day, Cal State was Division II school, and they won national titles all the time. And the kids came from other parts of the country, especially our swim team. And so kids would come and swim. They'd come to California, they'd be swimming, and then we'd have a really great rain in the winter. And you can see the mountains above Bakersfield, even though they're 15, 20 miles away. When you get a good rain, they look right there, like on top of you, like you're like up in Colorado. And the kids would be like, what the hell are those? Because they knew there were mountains coming from LA, but they didn't even know there were mountains 20 miles away, because you never see them, because they moved to Bakersfield in summer and the air is always brown. You know, but now you see the mountains quite clearly. Hopefully you're going to do the 100-miler at the race, not try and do the 24.
No, I'm going for the 24.
Yeah, you're going to just put the pressure on yourself, huh?
I have to. I can't help it, you know. Well, you know what? We'll see. I don't want to make any hard commitments until I get there and see how things play out. But my strength is going to the 24-hour, and I know there's two really, really strong runners coming out, Ray Sanchez and Jake Jackson. And, you know, who knows if they have a really good, strong 100, they might decide, I'm good with this, because.
Well, Jake is only in the 20. He's in the 100. He's not in both, which I don't understand how you're in both. But I got, I mean, I don't understand, but I mean, Ray's in both, but Jake is just in the 100. Because he's smart.
Well, that's
he'll be done in 13 hours and go home.
See, that's what I was thinking anyway, that Jake's going to, because the race starts at noon on Saturday. He'll do a 13, 14-hour race. He'll be done by, 2 in the morning. And then I could just see him thinking, why do I want to stay out here for 10 more hours?
He's
ridiculous.
He's just in the 100, and I'm sure that's all he's going to want to mess with. I'm sure he has some races. I remember, I think, he's got some races at Cup coming that he's hoping they're going to happen, like, Desert Solstice and things like that.
So a guy with the talent that Jake has, that guy is phenomenal. He could phone it in and still do a sub 16-hour 100, with barely having to break a sweat. So he's totally out of my league. But knowing that he's sticking with 100, because if he was, I mean, it doesn't really make sense for him to do the 24-hour. Why would he beat himself up for 24 hours when he doesn't need to prove anything, and it's not going to, the race is a small race. It makes more sense for that. If he's looking for a little, shake out my legs 100-miler, that makes sense for him to do that, because that extra 10 hours of pounding on his legs it's a win either way. I mean, it just doesn't make. I would even do the same thing if I could have a win in a shorter time frame. I'll save my body the wear and tear and go to another race.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of people in the 24. There's only 3 men in it: Ray and Jeffrey Rousseau, and then Jerry down there at the. So there's really just Ray's in it, and then there's only about 10 people in the 24, but the 100's got a number more people. So the 100 milers.
That pretty much even solidifies my thinking of going for the 24-hour. And I have the course record, the 24-hour, because I was the only one last year that did over 100. So I'd like to put another number up over 100 on that race.
But we were talking about that before, that of course this will be a little bit better. Well, hopefully it's been kind of the summer of bad conditions for you. Late summer, you either got the humidity, mud, green, and now we're going up there and it may be smoky. If it wasn't, if it was like last year, it'd probably be pretty ideal. So, I just worry, probably I'm more like in the Martha camp of like, okay, you want to get another 100 finish. Why try and put so much stress on yourself and be in the 24 and really have to, kick some ass into, because, it's not easy to get 100 miles in 24 hours. So that's that's why I was kind of wondering how you're thinking about that.
I think Craig has it set up same way that Danny Goat and many of the other races do. What is it? You get to 80 miles in 24 hours. So I could always, if I was just having a really bad day, I could always take advantage of that and say, all right, I'm going to just ease off and just power walk the rest of the day. And if it takes me 30 hours, I'll take it. But I'd prefer to be able to be done in 24 hours and get over 100 miles. So we'll see.
Yeah, because that's my dilemma, is that I'm in the 100, and if I don't get to 80 and 24, then he'll put me in the 24-hour results, but I won't be able to get a war, which is fine with me. You know, and in fact, if I was smart, I would sign up for the 24, especially if you weren't in it. I could get second, or if you're not in it, I could get second or third in it. So, but
so that's why you're trying to convince me to stick with the 100.
no, I'm not
teasing you.
But no, yeah, I was looking at it last year. You were 104 miles, and you were 32 miles in front of the second place. So, because second place was 72 for the men. So.
Yeah, it was you know, his first year last year, and as happens, and I understand it, a lot of people, I think, in a first year race with an unproven RD, people don't know. I mean, I knew Craig, so I knew he would. And once I heard that he was having Mike Melton come out for timing, it's like, okay, he's investing money, because, you know, he could have done something like a manual lap count or something without timing. And even though he didn't have that many people there, he invested. I mean, I tell you honestly, I think he probably went in the hole last year, knowing what it cost for a race, knowing what he had to pay, you know, for his expenses, paying for timing. You know, Mike Melton's a top-notch timing guy from Florida. So, but he did the right thing. He went, he didn't, you know, compromise anything. And hopefully, as more people see his race, I mean, getting Jake Jackson to come out to your race, that's a pretty big deal right there.
Yeah.
And Ray Sanchez also is Ray's a 11-time Badwater finisher, and he's done tons and tons. So, you know, getting those two, you know, big names out to your race, that says something to that they have.
He wrote us, you probably missed it because you were busy racing, but that he's in the black this year. So
good.
He'll definitely be able to give money towards the foundation there, the ride to, and all that. And and then we also, it'll be interesting, you know, and just this, I'm looking forward to doing a race, because I haven't done a race, basically an ultra, since my Celtic way back in January. And then I did a couple of small 10Ks here in Bakersfield area. So it'll be the first time to get out and just do something different, and should be a good day. Hopefully, like I said, the air quality here is not too bad. Hopefully it'll be okay with all that. And he's picking up a few more people. I've been promoted. I talked to Jake quite a bit and ride him and try and talk him into doing this, that, the other thing. Like, I had him pretty good interested in doing the BB48 until it got canceled, because he really wants to do a 48-hour race and see what he can do. So I'm hoping. I'm hoping he'll do one of those. And I think I probably told him about this race. I was really trying to get Jake to do the Kodiak 100 that I think ended up getting canceled. You know that one well, the Big Bear. And the reason I wanted him to do that race is the Spartan Race Company bought that race, or has that race the past couple of years, and they've been throwing tons of money at the thing. And so there's like real prize money at that race.
Yeah, like $10,000, I think.
Yeah. And I told Jake, I said, it's in your neighborhood. You can go up there and probably, if not, if you're not having a good day, you won't win, but you can probably go home with a couple $1,000s in prize money, because the field isn't going to be that super. Not that it needs it, because he's, an amazing athlete, but it's like all, I mean, to the point where, like, if they had it, especially with COVID, you could have snuck up there, and if you'd had a decent day, pulled off and made some, because you're not a trail guy, but if you had a decent race, you might have been able to pick up a check, because you can't imagine that people are going to fly from all around the country. But what it is Spartan has that TV money, because they put on their shorter races are on television. I think maybe, I don't know who, NBC or somebody does package, kind of puts it together. And I told him, I said, that's the future of the sport. You kind of got to follow that money sometimes, because especially like, look how big Ironman's got. But if you can get in on the ground floor in those kind of competitions, it's huge, because you become one of their stars.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially for Jake, he could actually, if he landed a sponsorship, he's exactly the kind of guy they're looking for. He's young, so, good looking guy. He's going to bring a lot of good attention, not like an old fart like me. They get some young guy who's really fast and has been on the international team. So, Andy, what we've got to do is coordinate before you start telling Jake about races. make sure there are races I'm not planning to go to. Don't be
Yeah.
having him go to the races I'm going to go to, because then he's going to blow my chance of a win. So we got to
Well, I told
coordinate
him
these
about Big
things.
Bear because I didn't think you'd go back there, because even though I guess you got to go back
No,
there.
not
You got to go
not
back
my.
there to finish, right? Has he ever finished Kodiak?
I did.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
you don't
So
have to go back.
I got my redemption out of it,
Okay.
and to be honest with you, I have no. I would do it again if I had the opportunity, especially if the race director threw me a free entry. I'd probably be a
Well,
sucker for
yeah.
that, because it is, in my backyard practically.
Yeah.
But no, that's a tough race. And
Well, I went there the first year on a whim. I was baby cat sitting my friend Allison's cats, and she was gone for the weekend, and I thought, oh, I'll sign him for the 50 miler, and he started it at the 50-mile mark of the 100 in the morning. And I went out there, the course wasn't marked well, there was no aid. I ended up getting to like Saramota caught me, and we stayed together, and then mile 30, we found out it was really like mile 35, and then we didn't get lost. We just didn't know where we were. And so we got to 40 miles, or her 90. And eventually we got to a real aid station, and we just said, nah, this is ridiculous. It was like 105 miles. But what happened with that race is kind of ties in. Everything always ties in. The guy who put it on was one of these eco challenge racers, adventure racer guys. So to him, it was probably a catered buffet, but to us runners were like, what the? Yeah. That was such a difficulty. And then I was at Badwater a couple years ago when Joel ran it, and the race director of Kodiak's like, you got to come, man. You come do Big Bear again. And I was like, okay. I can't. He kind of invited me to come, and I went out there in the first 15, 20 miles. I was like, this is a huge mistake. What am I doing out here? And I was having some knee issues, which I was having for a while. And definitely those are trails you don't want to be running if your knees are bothering you. And so I ended up, dropping out like at 20 miles and went home. But I finally figured out, trail racing is definitely, I always tell people trails are for hiking, not racing. So, but yeah, but I'm glad Jake's going to be there. It'll be fun to have him just flying around me. And then my friend Adam, who puts on the race director here for the Celtic, he's going to come up and do the 100. I think me and him are going to travel up there. So hopefully you and Adam can get together and you can help get him through some miles.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that.
I'm going to be, so our night's going to come early because we start at noon. Early into it's like the race I was just at, it started at 4:11 p.m. So we only had a couple hours of light, and then it's dark, and we're going through the night, which it worked out fine for me. I think, as you probably saw, the numbers of people those who were doing pretty well and had some good mileage, they started just dropping out. Not just slowing down, they just dropped out of the 24, and it's like, man, and I started out, because I had to constantly go pee. I was at like 12th place for quite a while.
I saw that. Yeah.
Then bumped up to 7th, and I was at 7th for probably, I don't know, hour, 2 hours. And then as we got into the night, I started slowly getting ahead of some people, but then they would end up, dropping out of the race. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what happened with it, but the weather was perfect. It was like, probably mid 70s during the day. And then at night it got down to, I'm thinking maybe 50, 45, but really perfect running weather. And of course, no humidity. I ended up putting a second shirt on. I put a beanie cap on, and even in a pair of gloves. So it got a little bit cool, but it was definitely perfect running weather out there. But during the night, that's when I'm going to be looking to have some, some friendly faces to get some miles in with, if I can.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off, because I gotta bank enough to where I can go at a 15, 60-minute pace and still knock out 124. So in order to do that, I'm going to have a number of 12, 13 mile that I bank to have that extra time.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it. I don't know if much on the podcast, but we've talked about how night starts are terrible. We do okay with them because we're multi-day kind of guys. But I remember when I first started doing trail races, I'm not a good sleeper, though I've been sleeping like a rock star. The past 2 nights, I've got 8 and 9 hours, which I don't know what's going on. My body's like going, hey, you got a race coming up. Take care of yourself or something. But I'm just shocked. Usually I sleep 4 or 5. But I remember I'd be at races like San Diego 100, get there Friday night, be like, God, could I just start now? Plus knowing I was going to be fighting the cutoffs. And then finally I did a night start And I was like, oh, these suck, because like we did that Modesto race. It's a night start. And you just, because what happens is you're up all day, and and so by the time you start, you've already been up since 7 or 8 or earlier. I mean, you need 5 or 6. So you've been up all day, even if you try and rest. Then you go through that first night. And then if you're slow, you got to go through that second night, or like in that 24-hour race, you ended up doing pretty well, considering you started late, because when the morning came, most experienced 24 people were like, oh, I'm done. And I was like, oh no, you got another 8 hours out here. At 8 in the morning, don't finish till 6 o'clock in the evening, which is just like, oh, it's night starts. The one of the things, and the only thing I like about night starts is fast guys have to run through the night, which someone like Jake, generally, he finishes it, like Western State starts at 5 a.m. He's done by 8 p.m. And so he never gets the fast guys. I mean, I've told the story so many times, but I remember seeing an interview with Anton Kopitschka, and someone there, it's a Q&A, and someone raised his hand and goes, Anton, how do you deal with running overnight? And he kind of smirked. He goes, I'm usually done.
I just don't do it. That's how I run too fast.
He's like, I'm always finished. And so that's probably one thing I like about UTMB is UTMB actually has a night start. And I think that's one reason the Americans go over there and don't do so well, because Americans generally, besides the course hard, and the Europeans are really good racers, especially. But I think, that starting at 6 at night and running through the night and then having to run through the day, it's definitely – so, a noon start will be a little difficult, but thankfully I think we're going to just drive up the morning of it.
Talking about the night starts, that's the misconception that people have about Badwater. They think, man, you guys have it easy now because you guys do the night start. Well, I've done 3 of the days, the morning starts, and then we had the one weird year that wasn't even really Badwater, but anyway. And then I've done, 5 of the night starts. And every veteran I know who's done both a morning start and a night start, all of them say, oh, I would much rather deal with the heat of the day going through Death Valley and do a morning start. Because like you said, okay, so the race starts Monday night, the 3 ways. There's the 8, the 9:30, and 11 p.m. And you think it's just like anything on paper, you think one way, but in reality, it doesn't work out that way. You think, oh, well, I'll take a nap. There's no way you're gonna. You're too pumped. You're hyped up. Your adrenaline's pumping through your bloodstream. So you want to get out there, and even if you sit in your car, because you don't want to pay for a whole extra hotel day when you're going to be only using it for a couple hours. So you're sitting in your car with your crew. You're all just sitting there doing nothing. Trying to get some rest, and you can't, and it's ridiculous. And then, so you're right. You start. You already have to go all through the night. And then you're all the next day. And of course, Badwater being 135 miles, then those of us who can, knock it out in 24, 30 hours, we have a whole second night to go through. And even with that, so you think, well, but you missed the heat. Well, there was that one year, 2-3 years ago, where the hottest time was actually going through Owens Valley when it got up to 128. So it wasn't even, in that typical stretch you think of, from Furnace Creek to Stovepipe. It was going through Owens Valley, going towards Panamint, and we got hit with that. Really, so, and that was my worst year, 44 hours. But I would take morning start at Badwater any day over the night start, and have to run, even if it means running through 120, 125 degree temps. I mean, that's what you train for. If you can't handle those temps, you really shouldn't be doing Badwater anyway.
Well, that's the thing is it's just a genetic thing. It just goes to show you that humans need sleep desperately and can get away. I mean, heat, it sucks, but you can deal with heat. But when it comes to sleep, and that, just see it. That's one of the reasons I'm successful in like a 48-hour race is because I can basically stay up and walk the entire time, where most people can't do that, and so that's why I always say, like, in a 24, I don't run enough. I always get killed in 24s. 72, the fast guys can run. They can sleep for a normal cycle, get back out and run and catch me. But in a 48, they still got to sleep, but they don't have enough time to catch me. And so, like, the 48 is the perfect race for me, because if I just stay up, which I just can do, it's just a genetic thing. And, but it really goes to show you that heat is not a limiting factor. It's like, it's hot, but sleep, it's just like definitely a need that people need. And
if you're not getting sleep, okay, your brain's not functioning properly. You're in a daze, and then your digestion isn't working well too
Mhm.
because your body's
Yeah.
just so worn out. So everything starts shutting down. Systems start shutting down
Yeah.
without that sleep. And now it sounds very masochistic of me, but that's part of what I actually like about it's, the tougher the person, the better they're going to be able to deal with those kind of conditions. And so it's like, you know what, bring it on, because the same
Yeah.
conditions I'm dealing with, what the other guy's dealing with, and I've been through them way more times, so I know
Oh
how
yeah.
to get through them. Whereas the other guy, it's his first time doing it, so it's
Yeah.
all new, and it's they don't know how to deal with it. So
Yeah. Well, it's like, we've had this incredibly bad smoky days here in Bakersfield, and my wife, she doesn't really question me anymore what I'm doing,
mm,
but other people are like, "You're going out in this conditions," and I'm like, "Well, I'm smart. I'm going to back off. It's better than sitting at home to me physically. I think doing something even slow." And I also say, you never know. I might be in a race where in the middle of the race, it's super smoky conditions, and I'll be like, "Well, been here, done that,"
right.
and it's like I know how to. I know mentally, like, okay, I can do this, and I know that I need to slow down. I need to do this. I need to do that, so that I can take care of myself, so I can get to the finish. And so that's kind of how I look at it. It's just, yeah, I think like a lot of ultra people, especially, you listen to this, a lot of ultra runners, especially trail runners, and part of it's because of their life and family and work and stuff. They often train in perfect conditions. They're
Right.
always training at 6 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday morning when it's cool and crisp and beautiful.
hmm
But and so then when they go, and then they run too fast and too hard in training. But then like when they're in a 100 race where they start at 6 a.m, a lot of them aren't used to running at 3 in the afternoon at Angel's Crest when it's 95 degrees and the sun's beating down on you, or running at 8 o'clock at night, or 2 in the morning. And so if you're always training under
Or
ideal conditions,
not even running, walking, and they haven't trained for
yeah, yeah,
walking.
oh yeah, they have, oh yeah, and like I kind of keep coming back to this phenomenal Ugandan kid. I call him kid because he's like 23, who just crushed the 5K record that's been around for 16 years, and he's hoping to break the 10K record. And I bet he does. And it's also 16 years. Well, he trains in Uganda, and he trains on a misshapen oval grass track. And he's not, and it goes to show you, he's not training on ideal conditions. And he's like, well, because he's in Uganda, which is true. Uganda's only got one 400-meter track, but he's like, hey, I live here. He could probably live in Europe and get away with, training on those. But it goes to show you, he's doing all this work on a 428-meter grass track. And so when he gets on a
Wow.
400-meter track, he's like, oh, this
I'm in
is,
heaven.
he's like, I'm in heaven. And,
Yeah.
the same thing with Kipchoge, the guy who went under 2 hours. He trains with his group of people, and he lives in like this dorm area. And even though he has a house like 5 miles away, Monday through Friday or whatever, he stays there and lives there to concentrate on training. He doesn't stay at, and then and so it goes to say that people who, you don't have to have ideal conditions or perfect stuff. Like me and you, we pound a lot of pavement, a lot of sidewalks, and all these people are like, oh, I got to drive 2 hours so I can run on a beautiful trail. It's like, no, just go hit the pavement, the concrete, and you'll be perfectly fine on the road, on the trails when you got to be on the trails. And I think Jake kind of lives in that kind of area too, where, he does a lot of road work. Casey Lighting, the young woman from Wisconsin who has won Western States many, many times. I tell people all the time, she lives in Wisconsin. It's flat as a pancake, but how she wins mountain races? Why? Because she puts the work in. And then like she has a lake near her and she runs laps and laps around that lake, so it's like, that's why my motto is keep it boring. Don't be epic. It's like, just go do the work. You don't have to. And that's why I often say, like, a lot of people just really don't like to run. They like the scenery, things like that. So very interesting, but yeah, so good to see you. Haven't seen you since Celtic. And
Yeah.
what's your plans on getting up there? Are you going up Friday or?
So I'm thinking that we're gonna, because it's an 8 hour drive for us, so it'll be the first time I haven't flown to a race, and
Yeah.
I've done 7 races this summer, and I've flown to every one of them. But
Yeah.
so Martha and I will probably leave Friday afternoon. That means I can actually make some money on Friday, get some work in, and
Nice.
go maybe halfway, get a cheap hotel, spend the night, and then leave at 6 or 7 in the morning, and still have plenty
Mm-hmm.
of time to get there before the 12 o'clock start. So And I'd much rather actually be on the road driving than get there at 8 in the morning and have to
Oh
sit
yeah,
around for 4 hours
yeah,
waiting for the race to begin.
yeah. That's why we're not going to go on Friday and go on Friday and get like somewhere to stay. I'd rather sleep in my own bed and then just leave Bakersfield at 5 or 6 and get there early. Just because Adam wants to set up and stuff. So we'll
Yeah.
kind of the same plan. And are you? What other races do you have? Is there something else coming up too in the future?
So I've got all 5 weekends of October. I've got something on the
Mm-hmm.
schedule. So next weekend, so today's my son's 30th birthday, but next weekend we're celebrating my granddaughter's 10th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take the weekend off for family, and then starting the weekend after, let's see, that first weekend in October. And I haven't actually signed up for any of these races. I haven't booked my flights yet. So these are races that I'm planning to do, but
Yeah.
I'm always sort of hesitant to book a whole bunch of them all at one time, because then that's
Oh yeah.
the entry fee and the travel expense. And then if something goes
Yep.
wrong and I have an injury, although I never get injured,
Don't
this
say
never
that.
happens.
I say
Yeah,
the same thing.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
I haven't ever
So,
either, but I totally get it. Yeah. Yeah, because
so
I
what
look
I
on your Ultra sign up and there's nothing on here.
nothing there. So what I'd like to do, and we talked about this, so my plans changed after my epiphany I had last weekend. So what I was going to do is this first weekend, I was looking at going out and doing the what is it called? Three days at the fair, I think
Yeah.
it is. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a 24, 48, 72, and a 6 day. And I thought, oh, I'll go out. Maybe I'll sign up for the 6 day, but get there at day 2 or 3 and knock out 100 miles and then do another 100 in one of the other races. It's like, no, I think I'm going to focus on the 72 and go for the
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'll do at that one. And then the next weekend, there's a 24, 48-hour race. I don't know the name of it, but it's in Bellevue, Wisconsin. So the
Yeah.
48,
That dot race.
yes. Yeah, but it's like a last man standing,
Standing. Yeah.
plus they've got the 48. And it's the one that Scott Coomer is a co-race director of. So Scott's a good guy. So I know it's going to be a well-run race. So I'll probably do the 48 because that's actually kind of my sweet spot. Like you, I'm
Yeah.
48 is a really good race for me. So I'll probably do that one. So there'll be the 72, then the 48, and then the middle weekend. There's it's called the Endless Mile 24 and 48. So I'll probably go out and do
Oh
the
yeah, I
48,
saw that one.
or I might even do the Point Express Trail 100. I really like that race because it's almost completely flat. It's in the high desert of Utah, and it's basically a 2-lane dirt road, but straight and flat with one teeny little hill. In fact, you start on the top of the hill, you run down, go over another little hill, and you go past the halfway point, turn around, come back, go back over that hill, but then you go to the base of that first hill you ran down. So it's actually a negative
Mm-hmm.
elevation race, and it's car crewed, so you can go out there, and I've done it 3 years, and always done pretty well. I think I've always gotten a sub 20 hour at that race, and there's not that many people who do it. It's not like a ton of beautiful scenery around. It's just flat high desert, but I enjoy
Yeah.
that. So between those two, okay, so that's that, and then on the 24th, there's a couple that I saw. There's a Kansas Rails to Trails, and I was just out in Kansas in July and really enjoyed, other than the humidity, but really good people. Kind of the salt of the earth Midwestern kind of people. Super nice, and they've been telling me about, Ed, you got to come do a Rails to Trails. It's just the kind of race you want. It's flat, and you'll love it. So I might do that, and then the last weekend is Javelina weekend, but I'm 450th on their wait list because they've
Yeah.
had to change things because of COVID. So there's a 24-hour race out in Oregon that I might look at. So I got to do a little more research, see what I'm going
Yep.
to do. But it looks like I might end up doing a few multi-days. I'd like to get my win numbers up a little bit while I'm still able to do that. So
Speaking of multi-days and kind of more towards the future, like I know, are you, like going to across the years, you were talking about doing all this crazy splitting it up thing. I think it maybe like going there and doing a legit 6 day and going for try and get the big number, get the 500 or.
you know what I'd probably do if I can uh, not get in trouble with my wife. I think I would go and do the 10-day because that's the only distance I have not won. I've only done one 10-day and I took
Yeah.
second. I'd like to have a 10-day win. So if I did go to HUI, yes, it would be either the full 6-day or the 10, but yeah, not break it up. And I'd like to do a 10-day there and then just get a feel for how that goes to set up for doing the 3100 in Sri-Chernoi in June. I think I got to talk to the race director, but I think I'm on the short list for that race. I was for this year before it got canceled. So
it started yesterday.
The one that you told me about in Europe.
Yeah, in Austria, Salzburg. So they definitely having it. It's interesting, like clicking on the across the years 10-day. They probably have suspended registration, I guess, because they only have 3 people in the 6-day and there's nobody in the 10-day.
No,
so I'm sure probably
everything. I actually went on and you get on a wait list, just like all Aerovipa, everything is on wait list. So when they decide what they're going to do, they contact you. But so,
no charge till you confirm. Yeah, so
right.
there's a 10-day. 10 days, $1,200.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. It was 10-day marathon, and then they have a 500K too. You should do the 500K. You could win a 500K.
310 miles. You know what? If I have me, if there's a choice, I'm going for the biggest that they've got.
Oh yeah.
So.
I guess there is 2 people that are signed it. But yeah, they've obviously, because they don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I kind of want to do. I looked at that last dot 48, but I kind of think it's a little too close to this 100 for me to travel and deal with all the travel mask and all that stuff. I don't think I really want to do that, so I think I'll be putting off that. I'm actually thinking about trying to get in the Sri-Chernoi 6-day if they have it in April coming up in 2021. I'd like to maybe do that one.
I did that was my 10-day, and I really, really like that venue. It's a really cool venue. It's the 1964 World's Fair. And it's all paved, but it's closed to cars. So you've got this really nice surface.
Is it paved or concrete?
It's paved. It seems to me like it's blacktop, if I remember right.
Yeah.
It's
I've seen pictures and it seemed like it's, because I've had some people tell me, oh, it's concrete. Yeah, and for other people, that's where Will Smith fights the giant cockroach or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or alien. Yeah. Whatever that is from Men in Black.
Men in Black. That the spaceship that's up on that tower. Yeah. So the weird thing about that is that apparently had been a working restaurant at one point, and then it got condemned because of asbestos. But it's also a landmark. So they're in a catch-22. They can't tear it down because it's a landmark, but they can't open it back up because it would take so much to clean it up of the asbestos. So it's just a rusting pile of metal sitting there.
Yeah. So, well, it sounds like you definitely got some planned out races for October, and then and what 100 was this one then? I know you said it, but I forgot. What was it for your 100 finishes?
Number 189.
Okay.
So this weekend will be number 190.
All right, that sounds good.
So getting closer to the 200.
Yep, and I don't think anything else going on. It's you've been still MIA on the social media. Where you been? Just working.
Been working. I'm burning the candle at both ends because it takes 3 days to do one of these weekend races if I'm going to be doing any kind of travel. I still do have to work. I have to make a living with my business, so I'm either running or working, and I just have no time for anything else. I have some groups I'm a part of, and they're all like, Ed, where are you? You're not pulling your weight. It's like, I'm sorry. I can only do so much.
Yeah. Oh no, I just, you like I said, usually when people win a race, they tell people when the Lotse, the 72 hour. I,
Well,
I, I'm your
I told
Flavor Flav.
you.
Yeah, I'm your hype man. Your Flavor Flav, which I totally enjoy doing it. I like following your race, and I know that other people enjoy following it, and also enjoy doing the podcast. And it's great to just keep up in touch with you. In fact, tomorrow I'm supposed to talk to Scott Burton, our
Oh,
Canadian,
cool.
our 6-day
Yeah.
Canadian friend. He's supposed
Yeah.
to get a hold of me around the same time tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to talk to him in his pursuit of trying to get 406 days. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. And I have a number of other people on the waiting list. It's kind of funny. I've been trying to get a woman to come on, and I have like 3 or 4 women on hold who are like, yes, I want
Yeah.
to come, but, and so I'm like, well, I got to get someone else. I got to get a lady on the show sometime.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
so hopefully some of them will come on, and, just kind of doing whatever I'm doing. It's good time. So I think
Are you planning to do like a live broadcast this weekend at the race?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely, shoot some video, because this race will be crossing each other at that one part. So I'll get some coverage. So yeah, I mean, on YouTube, it's not too difficult to get, but I can actually do live streaming on YouTube. You have to kind of be on there for a certain amount of time, and then they allow you to do that. And so I will probably try. I think I can. Yeah, I'll do some of that. I bought actually this gimbal thing that'll keep things from bouncing around. It's
Cool.
makes it smooth instead of just holding the camera and getting. And so I'll see about trying to do that, and we'll see. It's just going to really depend on how I'm feeling and the conditions of the course. Now the course up there, I guess before I let you go, it's all dirt then.
Yeah.
And pretty level, and
there's a couple teeny little climbs, which is good. It breaks it up so it's not completely flat. And
he says it's
mild.
pretty dark. He says it's pretty dark out there.
I suppose I rarely take a flashlight myself, so and I don't remember there being, even though it's dirt, it's smooth dirt. There's no trip hazards because it's a horse ranch.
Yeah,
so
that's what I meant.
The
by
trails
smooth.
are like the trails are like for horses. They're smooth.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind a little up and down hills. It's more just got to make sure if the footing's good. So, and then then I'll just picking up stuff. And
it is a horse ranch, so you're going to smell the smell of horse manure. I personally, I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me at all because we had horses for a little bit, and so it brings back good memories to me. But if city folk, if they're squeamish about the smell of horse manure, it's like, okay, this is not the race for you.
Yeah, no, it won't bother. That won't bother me. So yeah, so we'll just see what I'll do up there. I mean, depending on, I don't want to mess up your race, but depending on if we do get the pace wise, might try and do something, or maybe grab some other people. Probably they'll all be done. And now, when you finish your 24, are you going to be sticking around, or are you going to be done?
I would like to stick around and do kind of my trademark of cheering everybody in until they finish.
Yeah.
But it depends because Martha's going to be with me. But she's actually buying a car from her sister. So she's going to come back with a separate vehicle. So maybe she'll just do that and I'll stick around. So all right, we'll see. But if I'm able to, I'll stay.
You're not going to try and go do that Headlands thing?
I don't think so. Because I started to think about it, and again, what is it that I want to accomplish? I want to accomplish the most 100-mile races anybody's ever done, but I have time for that. I also want to get my wins, and for me to put that race between this race and a 24-hour race, I mean, it's going to be a 48-hour race or even a 72-hour race that I could win. I don't know that I want to beat myself up that much. It's a nice race, but you have to be self-crewed, and I just start looking at all the factors. The biggest factor, the biggest thing going in its favor is because you're doing it as a fat ass, it's cheap. And so if I'm wanting to get 100 but I shouldn't even say that because normally that race is like close to $400. No, not that one. There's another one, but that race is, I think, probably close to $300. And I think they're doing it at $150, but I could go do a race in the Midwest for $100 and spend $150 on a flight. So I'm still less money in going across the country than doing a local California race.
Oh, before I let you go too, I got an email because I'm on their watch list. That the Best of San Diego 100 that we went out and did one year.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
going to still have it, but it's going to be kind of fat ass style, but they're going to still count it and stuff. So if you're interested in doing that in November, they're going to have that.
What I probably will do in November, if they still are going to hold it, is the 48-hour race that Viper puts on it at the Nardini Manor. That's supposed to be, it might be a different weekend. It's either the same weekend or the weekend before. I think it's actually the Thanksgiving weekend. So is his Best of San Diego on the Thanksgiving weekend?
It's that 10/21, so that might be the San Diego. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. 10/20. Yeah. 11/20. Yeah. And that's the Fat Ox 48 is the 20th to the 22nd.
Oh, okay.
So quite frankly, I would probably do that because I like that. I like that venue. It was my first multi-day race was at the Buckeye, and also 48-hour race is, that's my sweet spot. So there's a good chance of me getting a win. Whereas the Best of San Diego, I've done it twice, 2 or 3 times. I think just twice, and I do enjoy it. It's a really, the way he lays it out, it is really cool because half the race you're going through city, and then half the race you're going through trails, and they're decent trails. They're pretty mild, so it really is a good race. But again, you have to be. Well, he always says you have to be self-sufficient, but he goes out and sets up these little aid stations every so often. So you actually, and for what, $10, I think is all he charges. He takes really good care of everybody out there. And I think he only limits it to like 20 people or something. I don't know. It's a small limitation. And then you're supposed to be able to get through it in 24 hours, but
there's a wait list technically, but I think obviously like you can get in the 50 and there's a wait list for the 100, but since he's now not going to have it like as a mass start, you could probably obviously join in and stuff like that. So I saw it because I kind of like maybe want to go down there and do the 50 miler possibly, just because I don't think I want to do the 100, but it's because I went to UC San Diego, so that's an area I'm familiar with. And I went down there that year and I only did like the marathon just because I was having a terrible day, and then I crewed the rest of the race. But
and I think I got the win. No, I didn't get the win. No, but I did decent. What did I get? Second or third place?
Yeah,
I think I got second that year.
So I just happened to see that, and I remembered you had done it, but I didn't know about the Buckeye one because they don't usually have that one at Thanksgiving time, do they?
No, they did it.
Well, I guess last year was the first year they had it. The Fat Ox just happened last year was the first time.
Okay, well, I missed it last year. They'd had one before that was similar to it, but I missed it last year. But
they've done things at that. I've heard about the Nardine Ranch, but they've got the 48-hour. Looks like you can still. It's the same kind of thing. You can sign up, but they'll confirm you, kind of thing. So 48 is $290, no charge until you confirm. So delayed charge. So there's plenty of room on that thing. It says event's not sold out. So that sounds like
I'm on the with Air Viper. I'm on their wait list for Javelina, for this race, and for the ATY. It doesn't matter what race you're doing. Anybody who signs up, you're on their wait list. So I'm on the wait list for all three of them. So that actually is kind of nice because I don't have to commit money until it gets closer, and then I can make decisions based on how things are going. So although it leaves things up in the air for a while, but I do like the idea that I can put my money towards some other things right now. So
last year at that the Fat Ox 48. This guy named John Marasheka did 185 miles.
That's a good distance for 48.
53-year-old. Second was 154. Second was 154. Our friend Brian Kemper.
Kepri, yeah.
Yeah, he did 140. He came in fourth. So, so just checking that out. So, sounds like a good race, but I'll be passing on all those for a while. So, okay, well, I'll let you go, Ed. I'm sure you got some stuff to do. I got to go to run camp in another half hour here with my Bakersfield Distance project. Been really enjoying doing that. I've been meeting them Monday through Thursday. 6 in the evening. It's been good to get out and do something with some people. And well, I'm sure.
What all do you guys do? You do like track work, or what do you do?
Beach Park is about a half a mile from my house, and we have some loops, and we do structured workouts, kind of focusing on, making you an overall better runner. So we're doing more like kind of training, like 5K, 10K type of training, but that helps you in any kind of training, because if you can become a faster, more efficient runner, you're going to just be better in, any distance.
All
so
distances,
yeah, so it's kind of like more faster paced work and just the group training environment, which, the Kenyans and East Africans have been doing forever, and Americans are finally starting to do it, where, now Hoka has a team up in Flagstaff, Under Armour has a team up in Flagstaff, and Nike's had teams where these training groups, and it's just an ideal way to kind of train with other people, push yourself and stuff like that. In fact, speaking of like Under Armour, I think we've talked about this before, they do have Cameron Haynes used to run for them, and they'd be somebody you might want to reach out to, because they do make like an ultra running shoe, and you should probably get a hold of those guys and just say, hey.
They would be a great, they're on my wish list for sponsors. So yeah, I definitely need to get in touch with them and see. But you know what?
Because obviously it's what they do with Cameron, obviously. So you would kind of fit into that kind of mentality.
I know that they have like the super elite big name stars in other sports they sponsor. Yeah. And I don't know what they do in our little ultra running sport other than
they don't
Cameron.
Have any, really, I think.
And I know Cameron, so I ran with him a couple times out in Oregon. So I should chat with him and see what he thinks, and maybe he can make an introduction for me. So
most definitely, I think you should, because they have Stephon Curry, I believe. I don't keep track of shoe companies, but I think Stephon's the Golden State Warriors great basketball player. So in the big sports, they got some big guys, but they don't really seem to do much with their trail, ultra, even marathon. But you might check into just because that having a character and somebody who's out there doing it, because they just started up. They started a track 5K, 10K mile organization up in Flagstaff, and a local kid, Blake Annie from Bakersfield, is on that team. They call it the Dark Skies, because Flagstaff's known for dark skies. They purposely try and keep the skies darker so you can see the beautiful sun. And so they call their Dark Skies Distance team. And Blake ran for University of Oregon Duck, and was a sub-4 miler in college, won a lot of state championships here, and he's been running in Flagstaff all summer. So I'm kind of familiar with their elite program, just because I've been following him. But they would just definitely be somebody I think ideal would kind of, I think what you're doing would go well with them. So definitely try and reach out to Cameron and kind of knock on some doors on that, because I think of all the companies out there, and Cameron used to talk about the shoe on the Joe Rogan. It sounded like a pretty good shoe you can work with. Of course, you can work with any shoe. You ran 100 with 2 left feet. So
exactly true. Yeah.
I cut up this interview sometimes when I have time, and that little snippet of 7 or 8 minutes of you talking about wearing 2 left feet has been moving up the charts on my YouTube channel. Problem with finding out with YouTube is like, it's kind of discouraging, because I have to have 1,000 subscribers, which is next to impossible to get, but I might be able to get 1,000 people to subscribe. And please just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't take too much work. I don't know why people.
Here's what you need to do, Andy, is you need to title it "Interview with Idiot Who Runs with 2 Left Shoes." See, if you put something like that, you're gonna go, "Oh, I gotta see this."
Well, no, believe me, I'm learning from some good YouTube guys. This guy named Roberto Blake. So what sucks is, I can't believe I get people write me saying they like everything, like it, not a lot, but people, because you figure if someone writes you, there's probably 10 that like it, just don't write you. Yeah. Right. And so it's just like, hit the subscribe, because I want to get to 1,000. But then the other big sticking point is you have to have 4,000 hours of viewing in a year, which at first you think, 4,000, but then you do the math. That's like 330 hours a month. That means an hour a day of your content has to be watched. Now, if they watch this video and we get, and they watch the entire hour, that'd be awesome. But if you look at the analytics, nobody ever watches them in entirety. People watch snippets here or there. So you got to do a lot, because you used to be able to be monetized on YouTube and they didn't have any restrictions. And I used to pull in a little bit of money here and there, which it's not all about money. It's just once you become monetized, then you become legitimate. I mean, that's how we
Yeah.
keep, I mean, like, you talk to really rich guys, the billionaires, money to them, that's just how they keep score. You know, I mean, it's more, that's, you know, when you get that money, and that's kind of, unfortunately, in this kind of world, you know, until you get, you know, get that thing. So, but I enjoy doing it. It's great to talk to you. But I said, like I said, somebody subscribe, but yeah, it would be awesome if, but yeah, so, you know, so I've learned to, like, you change, there's like these algorithms where you can change the words in your titles to get more people to pay attention. And then if you've noticed, I've been making like these little YouTube thumbnails with graphics and stuff like that. Like I just did your one with the let me see what it is. What did I put the title? I'll let you go. I sent you that last one. Yeah, like now I put, well, the title of this one was Jester runs 100 miles wearing 2 left ultras. And then I found a photo of 2 left feet. It's a drawing, and put that as the, you know, so it's all kind of nice and, you know, a little more spiffed up. And it's like a 4-minute little video, but it's been getting more and more, you know, so it's just fun to do and gives me something.
Cool. Yeah.
So anyway, so I'll let you go here, and hopefully we'll talk to you. Send us a note what you're doing, when you're heading out to ride the tie, and you can still sign up for that race. You can use noise 10 and save 10%, and you can sign up for the race all the way up until Friday. So if you want to come out and do the 6, 12, 24, 100 with us, now's your chance. And run in the run in the real world, not in the virtual world.
Not virtually. Yeah, look forward to seeing you out there. And so we'll probably do the pre-race podcast right there at the race venue, right? You want to get there a little bit early and try and do that?
Oh yeah, definitely. We can definitely get there. I mean, well, I'll get there whether or not you get there. So
true. We'll see.
So,
well, I'll be in touch with you on Friday. I'll let you know what's happened. So we'll figure something out. All right.
And so I'll let you have the last word. What's going on? What you want to say, Ed?
Well, I always like to end with be kind to each other, be gentle on yourself, take one step today that can change someone's world for better. And thanks for all your support, everybody. Group hugs, everybody. Love you all. And, you know, get out there and run.